Someone has just pushed to 8,000 trophies in this new meta with the classic 2.9 Mortar Cycle deck. That's right, today I have Aaron back on to show you guys exactly how he dominates this current meta with 2.9 Mortar Cycle. Let's get right into it. So starting off here, we're going to be facing a lava clone deck. The opponent, as you can see, starting off with a skeleton army. Aaron's never afraid to just cycle his archers. You know, it's a Mortar Cycle deck, okay? You're gonna cycle back to a second set of archers. The opponent here goes in with a lava hound in the back, and we immediately pressure the opposite lane. You can see we're not, worried about defending his lava hound push. We actually force our opponents to spend all of their elixir in the opposite lane. This lava hound push has absolutely zero support units whatsoever, and a knight even comes down to force out even more of a defensive response. The opponent has no choice, he just fireballs out the archers, but he has absolutely no push whatsoever. The opponent tries to clone some of those pups, but a simple Ice Spirit actually lets us cycle to a second mortar, and then we just immediately play that mortar down. Now the opponent has no way to really take down or distract that mortar whatsoever, and now Aaron, as you can see, going in with a set of archers because he's not afraid to have to cycle back to a second set. And now double elixir time, he actually applies bridge pressure, and check this out, he pre-nados, takes down the skeleton army, nados the flying machine in range, so the archers take the flying machine down, and a offensive mortar comes down, destroys the opponent's defense, and now Aaron, with a very healthy mortar lock, goes in with a knight, and this tower is down just like that. Now the opponent going in with a push in the opposite lane. Of course, we cycle our archers first so we can get to a second set of archers. Then we NATO the flying machine to the opposite lane. We absolutely do not want to deal with it, and we can cycle back to a second tornado. So second archers come down, his fireball is now out of cycle. Second NATO comes down to destroy all of the cloned units. A second knight comes down as well, and just some amazing kiting here, going to distract all of the opponent's units for just 9 more seconds. And as the battlefield clears, Aaron just absolutely tearing apart Lava Hound clone. Now, how about a matchup against some of these new heroes? Well, we're going to be starting off against a classic Electro Giant Archer Queen deck. And, well, of course, we can always just rocket out the Archer Queen. That is the one thing that we do have going for us, but still, it's an Electro Giant beatdown deck. Very tough matchup. Dark Prince coming down the lane. The opponent tries to actually sneakily get some connections there, but Aaron gonna go ahead and stop that, and now an immediate mortar in the opposite lane. We're gonna log that out of the way, and just like that, we're gonna get a nice quick mortar lock at the start of the game. Now the Archer Queen is gonna be, actually kind of difficult for us to stop if we don't have a rocket, but just some simple skeletons, and a knight is going to do all of the distraction that we need. The opponent reloads in the back with an Electro Giant, and now the game has officially begun. We're gonna pressure in the opposite lane with our mortar. As soon as the Goblin Cage pops, our mortar officially will lock onto the tower, and now our main goal is to cycle back to some other way to destroy that Electro Giant. Aaron actually chooses to not cycle back to a mortar. Instead, it's just going to use the knight as well as the tornado to provide the damage output to take that stuff out. But the opponent uses the Archer Queen's ability and gets a couple hundred damage there. Still, Aaron very much in the lead as we head towards double elixir. Another mortar comes down on offense. Of course, Goblin Cage is going to distract, but I mean, this is really just a rinse and repeat, because as long as you can successfully defend the opponent's push, you're going to be doing just fine. And here, unfortunately, he fails the King Tower activation, but still gets a mortar lock onto the tower. I mean, this guy is an absolute beast. 30 seconds left in the match. Big push coming down one lane, and this is going to be difficult for the opponent to stop. And one thing I noticed is that Aaron really doesn't like to defend Electro Giants with his mortar. He does here, and he gets a nice little rocket value onto the Archer Queen. But as you can see, he more often likes to just, defend with his troops and instead just play those mortars on offense. Once again, though, a rinse and repeat. Another big push coming down the lane. Let's see here. He's gonna go ahead. The opponent applies double lane pressure here with the Archer Queen. We're gonna rocket out on the left. Knight comes down on the right to do the distraction work, and some skeletons will finish the job. And now we're going in on the offense once again. We do get the mortar lock onto the tower, and that pretty much seals the deal. The opponent just gives up because the tower is within rocket range, so that's going to be a GG well played. Alrighty, well, let's try a third match then, against a Royal Giant deck. I mean, are you kidding me? Alright, well, we're going to start off, of course, with a Mortar. We're never afraid to do that. And a Royal Giant comes down immediately from the opposite lane. And the way we're going to take care of Royal Giants is pretty simple. We're just going to utilize the Tornado to pull the Royal Giant backwards. And just like that, we defend the first Royal Giant. We do take some sort of damage there, but one hit is definitely okay. And we kind of split apart our damage pretty evenly across both towers. Now the opponent Fisherman in the back, we're going to go ahead and reply with a Knight in the same lane. This is kind of the goal here. You really want to make sure that you match whatever the opponent plays. And here a very quick rocket is going to take both some tower damage as well as destroy that Archer Queen. Now the opponent tries a big Royal Giant push in the back, and of course, if the opponent plays something big in the back, we're going to immediately pressure the opposite lane with our Mortar. We're going to go ahead and distract that Dark Prince with a nice little Ice Spirit there, and then just focus on defending this Royal Giant push in the opposite lane. Again, he's going to go ahead and use a Log here instead of a Tornado because that's all he needs. And now he's back to another Mortar. He's playing it on offense, and the opponent has just no elixir in hand. Mortar locks onto the tower, and just like that, the Mortar is just about to get so much damage here. 2 shots so far on the tower and counting. The opponent has to go in with an Archer Queen on 0 just to take that Mortar down. Knight comes down here. You can see very smart playing the Knight in the back so that the Mother Witch will not get any value whatsoever, but still the Archer Queen does lock on and is gonna get a good amount of damage here. Mortar comes down. We're going to pressure the opposite lane here and try and hold on. Let's go in with a Knight. We're going to nader the Royal Giant backwards, rinse and repeat. Pretty simple defense right here. Archers take down the Mother Witch on the right lane, and back again to another Mortar is Aaron. He's not going to play it down yet because, you know, the opponent's got a Royal Giant in hand. But as you can see, we're actually just going to NATO and rocket out the Archer Queen. We're now almost there, almost to just straight up spell cycle range, and we're gonna really just try and continue hammering down on offense. The opponent is desperately trying to build up a push in the back, but it's not working. We're gonna go ahead and take this stuff out. The Mortar locks onto the tower, and that is simply just gonna be GG. Well played. Now let's go ahead and end it off on a match playing against the Pompeo deck, being used by none other than Pompeo himself. So starting off, in general, it's going to be a pretty good matchup, I'll be honest, but not if you're playing it against the guy that literally made the deck, okay? He's gonna know how to make this a very, very close match. So starting off, it's actually going to be Pompeo that gets off to a slight early lead, and he's gonna already just begin building up his balloon pushes. So Aaron instead goes in with a Mortar in the opposite lane and gives and he actually gets an insane amount of rocket value here. He takes all this stuff down, and I think he actually gets a Mortar lock here, which is pretty nice. However, Aaron is very, very low on elixir, so the Mortar is limited to just 1 hit. Mortar coming down here on offense as Aaron reaches full. You can see that's something that he does a lot. He's very, very aggressive with these little pushes. Of course, he's gonna rocket out the balloon here. Mortar once again locks onto the tower as the Goblin Cage actually dies, and that's another hit for us. We're gonna get a King Tower activation and a very, very good start going into double elixir time. Once again, a Mortar coming down on offense here. We're gonna go ahead and distract it with our skeletons and our Ice Spirit here, and buy ourselves a little bit more time, but unfortunately it's not exactly gonna work. Mortar continues to be distracted. Actually, okay, no, I thought it was gonna get a hit, but it doesn't. Very, very good rocket there. Takes everything down, and we're back to another Mortar. But look at this, Pompeo is slowly chipping his tower down to just below 2000 HP. So this is getting a little bit worrisome. Of course, archers are gonna come down, take down the Inferno Dragon, but still, Pompeo is slowly winning the chip battle. We take down the Mortar there. But now is when we can begin to employ our most scummy move. With the Mortar Cycle deck, you can now begin spell cycling, and that is exactly what Aaron begins to do. He continuously is going to catch that miner and just distract the rest of the opponent's push. And then after that, he's just gonna start sending rockets in onto Pompeo's tower. So second rocket coming down, and there's literally nothing he can do. Pompeo's just trying to build up as big of a push as he can, but there's literally no point. We're just going to go ahead and go in with a Mortar to pull the balloon whenever that he goes in. So Mortar comes down here, it's pulling the balloon. We're cycled back to an Ice Spirit here. We're going to distract the miner here as well. and just a simple NATO is going to do the rest of the defensive job. Third rocket coming in down on the opponent's tower, and now Pompeo getting a little bit desperate. Big balloon push at the bridge, and just a simple defense here with a defensive mortar and a defensive knight. The activated King's Tower takes everything down. We're gonna defensive NATO the balloon to the King's Tower, and another rocket is about to come down on Pompeo's tower. So he sends it in, another balloon push comes in, but it's just rinse and repeat at this point. All Aaron's got to do is cycle back to one final rocket. He NATOs the balloon to the opposite lane. That's going to be GG, well played, and a very, very dominant victory over the Pompeo balloon deck.